are there plans for 6v6 balance patches?
So we did just do a 6v6 balance patch. I think it was like mid-season 19. And we're kind of just watching that right now. There's not really additional plans like set in stone for other 6v6 balance patches right now. We're going to kind of let it go. If we see that there's like a really big community reaction, or like balance really starts diverging for 6v6 versus 5v5, then we'll take a look at it.
Okay.
I mean, how many more times are people going to make an excuse for something like this? How many more times are people going to sit here and try to justify that when it especially came to 6v6, they didn't put it out there with all the intention in the world to sabotage it? And before somebody gets defensive, all right, I've been very, very generous lately towards the Overwatch team. I've been holding back on a lot of the things that I want to get off my chest and things that I want to say. But this was the straw that broke my camel's back, because 6v6, this was the core mode that won the game of the year. This was the inspiration for all the hero shooters that came after it, and what they do with their game is a different story, whether it's Paladins, Battleborn, Rest in Peace, or Marvel Rivals, or any other, like, you know, like the Gundam Evolution or whatever the case might be. The thing is Overwatch 100% redefined an entire genre by itself, won game of the year because of it, and all of that was achieved because of the absolutely goated game mode that we had and formatting with 6v6. And nowadays 6v6 is a shell of what it used to be. It is 5v5 watered down with an extra role thrown in there that isn't even properly moderated, in the sense that it's open queue and not role queue. Now, me personally, I don't mind open queue. There is a lot of problems that come with it. I fully understand that there are games where there's 5 DPS and 1 support. There are games where there's multiple support players and just a lack of tank or damage players because they're too busy grinding the main mode. The thing is it has now been almost a year of 6v6 being in the game, quote unquote, officially. It took us almost a year, or if not a year, to get a balance patch for it. And with the opening clip that I've showed you, they have shown us their they've basically shown us the internal opinion of the team, which is that 6v6 is meant to be the third core game mode, the forgotten game mode that, like, they just kind of put it on the side and spit on anybody that even remotely wants to enjoy it. By the way, Hazard has been broken in that mode for the past year and still hasn't gotten any numerous balance adjustments for it. Bastion is actually giga turbo busted in that game mode at the moment as well, because of how fast he can melt tanks, and technically doesn't really have any weaknesses given the circumstances, especially if he's getting pocketed. But I digress. There's a lot of problems that we can go into, but I ask one question, guys: why 5v5? And the only reason that I can ever come back to, that the reason 5v5 is staying in the game, is it justifies the 2 in the logo. I almost am entirely inclined to believe that that is the case. Back in the day, they told us that the reason they moved to 5v5 was never because of queue times, was because of gameplay reasons. By the way, queue times are just as bad now as they were back then. It's relatively the same for high elo players or mid elo players. It's gotten pretty much to that same point, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that Overwatch just sucks at retaining their core player base, because their updates are either extremely lacking, extremely boring, there's not much going on, it's yet another recycled game mode. And the problem is that there's a subsection of this community that has just sucked up to the devs and said that, no guys, this is okay. I think having Junkenstein for the 10th year in a row is a good thing, or a recycled version of it is a good thing, or not trying to do anything interesting or unique is a good thing. And what has happened over time is, if you look at the general interest in the game, if you look at the Google trends, if you look at the YouTube views, they're just going down and down and down and down. People don't care about Overwatch anymore. There's only so much you can do when it comes to like a Stockholm syndrome like relationship, where the person that's getting abused eventually says, all right, you know what, I'm just not enjoying this anymore. Like, you guys are doing the same thing over and over again. You don't tend to do anything differently. I'm gonna move on. Now look, I will give them one small benefit of the doubt. I have been enjoying Stadium personally a lot more than I've been enjoying base 5v5. My core way to play the game is always going to be 6v6 from now on, and I'll take the problems that come with open queue. Every now and then I play 5v5 when I'm bored and I want to play role queue, or I think the 6v6 matchmaking is a bit absurd at the moment because it's just wide queue hell right now. But I do enjoy Stadium. Now, the specific reason why I enjoy Stadium kind of comes back to the fact that I got into MOBAs in the past year. You guys can blame my girlfriend for that, because she bullied me into trying League of Legends, and then I actually enjoyed the game. And I know she's probably watching this video or listening to this video at some point, and I love her, and she's the greatest thing to ever happen to me. But point is that I realized that, okay, yeah, there's a lot of mechanical depth and extreme depth that comes with the, you know, the idea behind the MOBA, right? And Overwatch tried their hand at this with Stadium. Now, Stadium, in my opinion, is a success, but it's missing a lot of core aspects that come with the MOBA mode. It doesn't exactly have a laning phase. It doesn't exactly have a jungle system. It doesn't exactly have boss objectives to fight around. And until it gets all these things, Stadium begins to just feel like a bit of a mess of a game mode. Now, is Stadium fun? Yes, I think at the moment, Stadium is probably the most fun that you can have in Overwatch. I will probably die on that note. That's just me personally, because all the changes that they've tried to make for a 5v5 just culminate in Stadium for me personally. Not only that, Stadium gets regular balance updates. They get changes very, very frequently if a character is over or underperforming. Some of the direction shifts in Stadium, obviously, not all of us are going to be fans about it, but the thing I like about Stadium is that there's a heartbeat over there. There's an effort over there, right? I can't say the same thing for 6v6. There is no heartbeat. There is no pulse. There is just maybe every now and then if we want to like do something for it, we'll change up a couple of cooldowns and call it today. I know there's other creators that said that, hey, this changes that they make the 6v6 is good, but if they start to neglect it for another 6 or 9 months, then we can kind of come back and talk about it. Hey, so my question to that is, I mean, they kind of showed their ass, didn't they? They pretty much said that 6v6 will get back to it if it ever gets a bit too bad, and if the community is vocal about it. I don't understand why they've doubled down on this, because I will go out on a limb to say, I'm sorry, 5v5 is just not what it was promised that it was going to be. I also think the homogenization of all the roles in the game, with support and tank definitely having advantage because of stronger utility, is just not the way you take a game forward. There was another game, I don't want to waste everybody's time going too deep into this. There's another game that tried this idea that let's try to homogenize the roles, and when they tried to do that, the game just became a shell of what it once was. I think anybody that's been following my channel and knows what I'm talking about will probably know which game I'm referring to, but I don't want to talk about it because drama. But like, coming back to Overwatch as well, the tank experience in Overwatch is still as miserable, and it's still flavor of the month. The balancing is literally out of control. We're going to talk about the state of balance tomorrow, and then you're circling back around to the fact that supports are honestly the only real winner of 5v5, even though back then they were the biggest losers. Now, personally, when you have a role, it should focus on the strength that comes with the role itself. I don't like the fact that the damage role is currently the weakest role when it comes to taking duels in this game. Why is the tank role or the support role the roles that are arguably now having much better duelists than the damage role themselves? And for the damage role, it just comes down to who's the flavor of the month, and that role or that character gets to be a good duelist or a good, you know, character who creates pressure and everything like that, and then eventually that character gets sent into the gutter, and I can very much see Ashe and Vendetta getting toned down. In fact, at the time of recording, Vendetta did get nerfed a little bit. Arguably this wasn't enough. They nerfed the wrong part of her kit. This is the one part of the kit that they generally didn't need to touch. But this is the Blizzard balance team, and this is the El Classic Blizzard, where they're gonna touch stuff that doesn't need to be touched instead of addressing the core problem. However, my point is still this, guys, 6v6 as the core game is never ever gonna happen again. And I think at this point, there's a part of me that kind of died with this news, excuse me, not nude, the hell, but there's a part of me that died with this news that has come out, that yes, that unless there is major problems with 6v6, we are never ever going to address it. I think this is extremely unfair. I believe this is extremely unfair. I believe this is a disrespect to the people that committed to this game, that were there for this game, to the 3 years of content drought where we got absolutely nothing for this game, right? And it genuinely feels like slowly and progressively over time, this game is going to lose its identity of what it originally made it interesting. And there comes a point where you ask yourself, how much more do you want to over-evolve your game until it genuinely loses identity to where it becomes a shell of what it once was, and the experience isn't what people are looking for anymore. Overwatch's genuine interest levels are going down. If you think otherwise, I'm sorry, you're delusional. There's more than enough proof out there to prove this otherwise. The fact that they have to turn on 𝐒𝐈𝐷𝐾 in the game itself, for even in fucking Diamond of all places, guys, who is being delusional at this point? If you think that, yes, them turning on 𝐒𝐈𝐷𝐾 and not saying anything about it. They've been doing these type of practices for the past year, where they say that they're going to do something or not do something, and then they quietly go against their word. Do you want proof? Do you want proof? They said loot boxes were going to be updated seasonally. Now they're saying, oh, it's going to be updated like in the coming year, in 2026. This was supposed to happen seasonally. They said that the ultimate Battle Pass skins were going to be made purchasable separately, and then they quietly walked it back without saying a single word. about it. When 6v6 came out, they made no marketing effort to go and promote it. There's people till this day that don't even know 6v6 is in the core game. Right? There's still people in this in this game, in this community, the people that keep up with Overwatch that don't even know that 6v6 is in the game, the open queue. All they know is that we had Overwatch Classic, and even Overwatch Classic, I'm sick and tired of pretending that was an accurate recreation of what Overwatch once was. It was a half-assed attempt at recreating patches that we once had. Everybody could point out something on at least one character that wasn't the same, depending on the patch that we were on. That wait, no, this character didn't feel like that. Whether it was the Genji camera lock bug, whether it was the stuff with Roadhog, whether the fact that in the last Overwatch Classic, Symmetra got like disabled for like 99% of Overwatch Classic's tenure that it was there. Guys, my problem with Overwatch is how long are we gonna not hold them accountable for going back on their word? How long are they gonna keep doing this? It comes to a point where even as a creator, you get tired. You see other creators getting tired. You see that they don't want to call them out because they don't want to like risk their relationship with Blizzard or something like that. But there comes a point where it takes a wider effect on the game, and we are now approaching that point. I genuinely believe Season 21, they're hyping it up like crazy. Season 21 is genuinely the last chance Overwatch has with the genuine public. Because on the side, there's a lot of good games coming out in the coming years. Like Rivals is only going to get better because while their game is a little bit more casual focused and is a little bit more arcadey, the changes that people want are being implemented, granted that it's being done at a little bit of a snail's pace. And eventually, they have the faster hero cadence, they have constant new modes and new things coming out. The point is that they, like, when it comes to Rivals in this case, they're not afraid of being what they are. Overwatch is constantly trying to find a new identity in a way where they can win over new people, when they should just be looking at the core people that they have won over, that they have maintained, and lean into it. Also, by the way, they said that Workshop was going to be updated, and then they walked that back as well, and now apparently Workshop is not going to get any update either. How many more times do you guys want to see this pattern happen with Overwatch and realize that this game is an absolute hot mess? And if they seriously don't figure it out by Season 21, Season 21 is genuinely, in my opinion, the last chance this game has for the general public, for the retention of players. I feel like we're back in content drought era of Overwatch 1, where a lot of people left because they just weren't interested anymore, and like everybody was hyper coping that, oh no, the game's not gonna get that bad, and then like for 3 years we got no new content. We do get content, we're gonna get it at a snail's pace. There was also the commitment that originally they said that, oh, like the Stadium team is different to the Overwatch team, and then Aaron walked that back and also said, well, yeah, about that, like the map team is actually being shared between 2 different games. So the reason we didn't get new maps this year, we only got 1 new map this year and Stadium got everything else, is because the map team was actually working on Stadium. My point is simply one thing: this game doesn't know what it wants to be. One moment it wants focus in Stadium, other moment it's slightly making efforts when it comes to 6v6 every now and then. Then it wants to do the whole classic thing, but it's a half-assed attempt. Then it comes back to 5v5, and then they commit to a philosophy, whether it's good or bad, and then out of nowhere they walk it back. How many more times do they want to walk it back? You want to walk anything back? Walk 5v5 back. It's gotten so mind-numbing to see the state of balance. The state of balance will be discussed about tomorrow. These most likely will be some of my final rants until Season 21, where genuinely, even for me as a creator, this is honestly my last chance for Blizzard, man. Because it comes to a point where you as a person have to realize you have to have some sort of self-respect for yourself to see what these people are doing and stop excusing it. Because I've never seen any other game do this. Please, I'm on my knees. I'm begging you. Any big game with a big company, AAA company backing behind it, tell me one game that does something like this. Tell me, please. You cannot name me a big successful game right now that goes through the bullshit that Overwatch does, because no other game does this. No other game runs around trying to figure out what their core mode is, or what they want to do with the core mode, or how they can over-evolve it, or how they can vomit more passives into the game, or try to make up for a roles problem, or this or that. Is so much wrong with what's going on with Overwatch. And I'm tired of sitting here pretending like it will get fixed, because they've pretty much told us it's not going to get fixed, it's going to get worse, because we want to put in even more aggressive changes in the game. Now, that's my competitive side talking. From a casual side, I think Overwatch is a pretty fine game. I think it's okay. It's a great game to kind of pop into for 2-3 sessions. Then all the effects of 5v5 begin to show themselves really like in a sore thumb like way. And once that happens, I'm out. I go straight to Rivals. I'm sorry. I can't. 2, 3, 4 games. Maybe if I'm having a good 6v6 session, I commit even more. After that, I'm out. I'm sorry. I actually unironically enjoy the bullshit all slop fest game, Marvel Rivals, way more than whatever's going on with Overwatch right now, because they genuinely sit there and pick and choose the like who gets to be good or bad, and then they just pick and choose on just it's absurd, guys. Guys, the high skill heroes of this game, Freya, Genji, Tracer, Winston, who else do we have? Like Vendetta's not exactly that high skill, but progressively we know she's gonna get nerfed because Aaron talked about it. So many of these characters, even Sombra. I know Sombra's annoying in low elo, but Sombra actually requires a good amount of skill to play as well. So many good characters, so many designs that make this game what it is are just watered down versions of themselves that just feel so unimpactful and boring to play now, all to justify 5v5 as a format. I ask yourself, reflect on Overwatch in the past 2 years and what it has been. Think about all the different times they've walked back, and please be realistic with yourself and ask yourself, do you think this is acceptable for a video game? If it is, well, whatever happens post season 21, that justifies it. Because if after season 21, if things go downhill, I mean, what else is there to say? That the cracks have shown in the shield for a while now. And then if things get better after season 21, that's okay. Because like I said, my personal, like the last thing that I'm holding out on to really just hold on to Overwatch is I hope season 21 is good. Because they're hyping it up. I liked Perks. I knew Perks was going to be a balancing nightmare, but I personally don't care about Perks anymore. It is what it is. Just give everybody hyper-competitive Perks at this point. Address everybody's weaknesses if you want to. I don't care. But be consistent. Problem with this game is that it's not consistent. It's not consistent with how they design Perks. Look at what the fuck they did with 𝐒𝐈𝐈 and Torbjorn. It's not consistent with how they design the balance of the game. Look at what's going on with the balance at the current moment. For fuck's sake, we have Bastion as an AT hero, and characters like Freya, Genji, Pharah, Tracer, arguably eventually Vendetta are going to be downstairs. Sombra is like lost in limbo. This is unreal. This is unreal. I've held back so much, but today I've cracked. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I've genuinely held back, but I really don't understand what they want with this game anymore. I don't understand. It feels like they're embarrassed with Overwatch being Overwatch, and they really want to be budget League of Legends. Because that's where I see them going. Even the skin lines, I made a funny rage bait tweet where I compare, like somebody was like comparing that, oh, the new reindeer Christmas skin for Square Girl looks like Reindeer Mercy. And you know, I know that was a bit of a jokey post. It wasn't meant to be taken overly seriously. But I actually compared all the different skin lines that Overwatch has shamelessly looked at League of Legends and said, you know what? Let's have our version of Battle Academia. Here you go. It's on your screen. Let's look at their version of, you know, how they did, let's say, Winter Blessed. Winter Blessed is the most shameless one. They didn't even bother trying to make Winter Blessed different. It's literally copy-pasted with the golden accents, the metallic look, the white here. I can seriously go on, guys. Come on now. Like, it's real. And we know behind the scenes, they want to collaborate with League of Legends as well. I'm not saying that they can't do that. Like it will break the internet if League and Overwatch collab, because at the moment, those two are like my favorite games ever. But I'm just saying that this game just is so lost in what it wants to be that I'm praying that season 21 gives us a direction. I'm willing to accept a new direction, but all I'm asking is give me consistency. If you want me to enjoy 5v5, give me consistency. If you want me to enjoy the new direction, give me consistency. Don't tell me one thing and then 2-3 months later walk it back and then the game becomes a limbo again. It's tiring to be a part of 10 years later. With that being said, see you in the next one.